Wisdom seekers, welcome. Imagine for a moment standing at the crossroads of chaos and clarity. The world around you swirls in turmoil, people shouting, circumstances shifting, emotions pulling you in every direction. Yet at the very center of the storm, there is you, still, unyielding, deliberate. What if you could live every moment of your life with this kind of quiet strength? What if your reactions, those fleeting, impulsive flashes of anger, fear, or frustration, could be transformed into calculated, thoughtful responses guided by reason and virtue? Today, we embark on a journey to uncover the secrets of such a life. 10 transformative habits will guide us, each offering a piece of the puzzle to reacting wisely rather than emotionally. These are not ordinary habits. They are practices rooted in the wisdom of ancient Stoicism, a philosophy that has withstood the test of time, practiced by some of history's most remarkable thinkers and leaders. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king; Seneca, the statesman and writer; Epictetus, the freed slave turned teacher. All of them grappled with life's chaos and found a way to rise above it. And now, their wisdom is ours to inherit. But before we dive into these habits, let's consider the stakes. Why does this matter? Why should we seek to master our reactions? The truth is, the world doesn't care about your intentions or excuses. It responds to your actions. A single emotional outburst can ruin a relationship. A moment of rashness can destroy years of progress. But on the other hand, a deliberate, measured response has the power to turn adversaries into allies, obstacles into opportunities, and chaos into order. Imagine a life where your mind is unshaken by insults, where you can walk away from provocation with dignity intact. Imagine making decisions based not on fear or fury, but on wisdom and purpose. This is not a life of passivity or detachment. It is a life of immense power and clarity. It is the life of a man who rules himself, and by extension, his destiny. For many of us, the struggle with emotional reactivity is not a rare battle. It is daily, unrelenting. It appears in the way we respond to criticism, in the frustration we feel in traffic, or in the heated arguments that spiral out of control. These moments, small as they seem, are the true tests of character. They reveal whether we are masters of ourselves or slaves to impulse. The difference between the two lies in the habits we cultivate. Habits, not mere routines or tasks, but deeply ingrained practices that shape the very core of who we are. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The same applies to wisdom. If we wish to react wisely rather than emotionally, we must practice, over and over again, until wisdom becomes second nature. The habits we will explore today are designed to do just that. They demand effort, introspection, and discipline. But the reward is a life of immeasurable peace and strength, a life where your reactions are no longer dictated by the chaos around you, but by the clarity within. As we begin, I want you to visualize the man you aspire to be. Think of him as a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. Every decision you make, every habit you build, is another stroke of the chisel, shaping your character into something extraordinary. And just as the sculptor works with patience and precision, so too must we approach the task of mastering our reactions. It is a lifelong endeavor, but one that begins here, now. This video is not just a list of habits. It is a blueprint for transformation. It is an invitation to walk the path of the Stoics, to harness their timeless wisdom in your own life. These 10 habits are the keys to unlocking a version of yourself that is calm in the face of storms, composed under pressure, and unshakably wise. So as we delve into the first habit, I urge you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your mind and heart. Take these lessons seriously, for they have the power to change not only how you respond to the world, but how the world responds to you. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Every like, subscribe helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's get started. Habit 1. The discipline of the pause. When chaos erupts and emotions surge, the instinct is to act, to shout, to retaliate, to let the fire inside you consume everything in its path. But this instinct, though natural, is rarely wise. The first habit, then, is simple yet profound: the discipline of the pause. To pause is to reclaim your power. It is the small, deliberate act of stepping away from the storm, even if only for a moment. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The pause is the gateway to that power. It allows us to break the cycle of emotional reactivity and approach situations with clarity and reason. But how do we develop the habit of pausing? Start by recognizing the triggers that set off your emotions. It might be a tone of voice, a specific phrase, or a sudden shift in circumstances. Awareness is the first step. When you feel your pulse quicken or your chest tighten, that's your signal. Pause. Take a single deep breath, then another. This act, though seemingly insignificant, begins to rewire your response system. In that pause, remind yourself of one fundamental truth. You cannot control what happens, but you can control how you interpret and respond to it. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Your first instinct might be anger, perhaps even shouting, but in pausing, you create space to choose. You might think perhaps they are rushing to the hospital or retweeting. This is an opportunity to practice patience. The event itself hasn't changed, but your perspective has. This shift is transformative. Pausing doesn't mean avoiding action. On the contrary, it's what allows your actions to be deliberate rather than reactionary. Consider this. When a fire breaks out, firefighters do not rush in recklessly. They pause, assess the situation, and choose the best course of action. Without that pause, their decisions could endanger lives. In the same way, your ability to pause determines whether your response will be destructive or constructive. To cultivate this habit, practice in low-stakes situations. The next time you feel irritated by a minor inconvenience, a long line at the grocery store, a slow internet connection, pause. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and remind yourself that you have a choice. Over time, this discipline will extend to more significant moments, empowering you to respond wisely even under pressure. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." The pause is your chance to challenge those judgments. It is a small act with profound consequences, and it is the first step toward mastering your reactions. Habit 2. Practicing radical acceptance. The second habit builds on the foundation of the first. Once you've mastered the discipline of the pause, the next step is to practice radical acceptance. This doesn't mean passive resignation. It means embracing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Only when we accept what is can we begin to respond effectively. The Stoics taught that resistance to reality is the root of much human suffering. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action, and be satisfied if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. No one can stop you from that." What does this mean? It means that while you cannot control the external world, you can control your response to it. Radical acceptance is the starting point of that control. Imagine a sailor caught in a storm. He cannot calm the seas, but he can adjust his sails. Similarly, in life, there are countless forces beyond our control. Other people's actions, the economy, the weather. When we resist these realities, we expend energy in futility. But when we accept them, we free our minds to focus on what can be done. To practice radical acceptance, start by acknowledging the situation as it is. Say to yourself, "This is what's happening. This is reality." For example, if you lose your job, rather than spiraling into despair, you might think, "This is where I am now. I cannot change what has happened, but I can control my next steps." Acceptance doesn't erase pain, but it transforms it. It turns anguish into a stepping stone for growth. Seneca put it beautifully. "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." This doesn't mean you should stop striving for better circumstances. It means that you must begin from a place of peace with the present. If you approach life resisting what already is, you are like a man trying to swim against a tidal wave. You will exhaust yourself and make no progress. Radical acceptance is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Each time you encounter difficulty, remind yourself, "This is outside my control." My response, however, is mine to choose. Write this mantra down, repeat it often, and let it guide you. Over time, you will find that acceptance becomes not just a habit, but a source of immense strength. Habit 3. Seeking perspective. The third habit is one that the Stoics cherished, seeking perspective. When emotions run high, they cloud your vision, shrinking your world to the size of the immediate problem. But by stepping back and seeking perspective, you can see the bigger picture, allowing wisdom to guide your response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Sometimes that injustice is to yourself, by allowing emotions to dictate your actions. Seeking perspective is how you ensure that your decisions align with your values, not your impulses. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain. The path ahead looks steep and treacherous, and fear may urge you to turn back. But as you ascend and gain elevation, the view changes. What once seemed insurmountable now appears manageable, even beautiful. This is the power of perspective. It shifts your focus from the problem to the possibilities. One way to seek perspective is to ask yourself questions. How will this matter a week from now? A month? A year? This simple exercise can instantly reduce the intensity of your emotions. For example, if someone criticizes you at work, your initial reaction might be anger or defensiveness. But when you ask, "Will this moment define my career?" the answer is almost always no. Perspective brings clarity, and clarity fosters wise reactions. Another powerful tool for perspective is gratitude. When faced with adversity, pause and reflect on the things that remain good in your life. Seneca advised, "The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach." Gratitude doesn't deny hardship, it balances it. It reminds you that even in difficulty, there is much to be thankful for. Finally, consider the view from above, a Stoic exercise that invites you to imagine yourself as a bird soaring high above your current situation. From this vantage point, the things that seem overwhelming shrink in importance. Your problems become dots on the landscape of your life, a life filled with countless other moments, opportunities, and joys. By seeking perspective, you train your mind to rise above the immediacy of emotion. You become the master of your reactions, not their slave. This habit, combined with the discipline of the pause and radical acceptance, forms a powerful triad, a foundation for reacting wisely, no matter what life throws your way. Habit 4. Cultivating inner dialogue. The fourth habit is the practice of cultivating inner dialogue, a deliberate and mindful conversation with yourself. This is not the aimless chatter that often runs through our minds, but a disciplined form of self-reflection that aligns your thoughts with wisdom and virtue. The way you speak to yourself determines how you react to the world, and this habit ensures that your inner voice becomes a source of guidance, not chaos. The Stoics were masters of inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is essentially a record of his conversations with himself. In it, he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is an example of how your inner voice can serve as both a reminder of your ideals and a call to action. To cultivate this habit, begin by becoming aware of your inner dialogue. When faced with a challenge or conflict, ask yourself, "What am I saying to myself right now?" Often you'll find that the initial voice is reactive, emotional, and unhelpful. It may say things like, "This is unfair," or "Why does this always happen to me?" Such thoughts fuel emotional responses and cloud your judgment. Replace these thoughts with questions that guide you toward wisdom. For example, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of thinking, "This is unfair," remind yourself, "Life is neither fair nor unfair. It simply is. What matters is how I respond." These shifts in inner dialogue redirect your focus from external events to your internal power. Another powerful technique is to use affirmations inspired by Stoic principles. For example, when facing adversity, you might remind yourself, "I am stronger than this moment." Or, in moments of anger, say, "No one can make me lose my temper without my permission." These affirmations are not empty platitudes. They are tools for realigning your mind with the kind of person you want to be. Inner dialogue also serves as a safeguard against self-deception. The Stoics believed that we are often our own worst enemies, clouding our judgment with biases, fears, and desires. Seneca cautioned, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Regularly questioning your motives and assumptions through inner dialogue ensures that your actions remain grounded in truth and virtue. By cultivating inner dialogue, you become your own mentor, guiding yourself through life's challenges with wisdom and composure. This habit, like the others, requires practice, but its rewards are profound. It transforms your mind from a battlefield of conflicting emotions into a sanctuary of clarity and reason. Habit 5. Practicing emotional detachment. The fifth habit is one of the most challenging but also one of the most rewarding: practicing emotional detachment. This does not mean suppressing or denying your emotions. Instead, it means learning to observe them without becoming consumed by them. Emotional detachment is the art of stepping back and seeing your feelings for what they are: temporary states, not ultimate truths. The Stoics believed that emotions arise not from events themselves but from our judgments about them. Epictetus famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them." Emotional detachment, then, begins with recognizing this truth. Your anger, fear, or sadness is not caused by the external world, but by the meaning you assign to it. To practice emotional detachment, imagine yourself as a third-party observer of your own life. When a strong emotion arises, instead of identifying with it, step outside yourself and describe it. For example, if you feel anger, say, "I notice that I am experiencing anger." This simple act creates distance between you and the emotion, allowing you to respond rather than react. Another technique is to visualize your emotions as passing clouds or flowing rivers. Just as clouds drift across the sky or rivers flow downstream, your emotions will come and go. They are not permanent, and they do not define you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." The same can be said of emotions. They are perspectives, not truths. Emotional detachment also involves letting go of the need to control others. Many of our emotional reactions stem from frustration with people who don't meet our expectations. But the Stoics teach us that we cannot control others. We can only control ourselves. When you accept this, you free yourself from unnecessary anguish. Seneca advised, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." This applies to relationships as well. When we crave control over others, we impoverish our peace of mind. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means engaging with the world from a place of strength rather than vulnerability. It allows you to care deeply without losing yourself to the tides of emotion. With time and effort, this habit becomes a shield that protects your inner peace, no matter what life throws your way. Habit 6. Mastering the art of reframing. The sixth habit is mastering the art of reframing. Changing the way you interpret events to find meaning, growth, or even opportunity in what initially seems negative. Reframing is not about denial or false optimism. It is about choosing a perspective that empowers you rather than weakens you. The Stoics were experts at reframing. They viewed every challenge as an opportunity to practice virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea that obstacles can be turned into advantages is at the heart of reframing. To develop this habit, start by asking yourself empowering questions when faced with difficulties. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this situation to grow?" For example, if you lose an important client at work, you might reframe it as an opportunity to improve your skills or seek new, better clients. The situation itself hasn't changed, but your interpretation of it has. And that changes everything. Another way to practice reframing is to find the hidden benefits in adversity. The Stoics believe that every challenge contains the seeds of growth. Epictetus reminded his students, "Difficulties show a person's character." Therefore, when a difficulty falls upon you, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a rough opponent. Reframing challenges as tests of character transforms them from burdens into opportunities for self-improvement. Reframing also applies to your interactions with others. When someone insults or criticizes you, instead of taking it personally, view it as feedback, or even as a reflection of their struggles, not yours. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to consider the intentions and limitations of others, recognizing that their actions were often driven by ignorance or pain. To make reframing a habit, practice daily reflection. At the end of each day, review any difficult moments and ask yourself, "How could I have viewed this differently? What lesson can I take from it?" Over time, this practice trains your mind to automatically seek empowering interpretations, even in the heat of the moment. Mastering the art of reframing allows you to turn setbacks into stepping stones and pain into progress. It is a skill that not only enhances your ability to react wisely, but also enriches your entire perspective on life. With this habit, you'll find that even life's greatest challenges become tools for your growth and transformation. Habit 7. Developing the practice of self-restraint. The 7th habit is the deliberate cultivation of self-restraint, the ability to hold yourself back when your impulses push you toward rash action or speech. It is the practice of saying, "not yet," when every fiber of your being screams, "now." Self-restraint is not a denial of action, but a refinement of it. It allows you to act with intention rather than compulsion. The Stoics regarded self-restraint as one of the highest virtues. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Self-restraint is the cornerstone of this mastery. Without it, you are at the mercy of your emotions, instincts, and external influences. With it, you become the ruler of your own mind. To develop this habit, start small. Practice self-restraint in everyday situations where the stakes are low. For example, when you feel the urge to interrupt someone in conversation, hold back. When you are tempted to indulge in unnecessary spending or impulsive purchases, pause. These moments of restraint strengthen your ability to govern your impulses in more significant and emotionally charged situations. A practical tool for self-restraint is the premeditation of evils, or premeditation malorum, a Stoic exercise in which you imagine possible scenarios that might provoke you. For instance, before attending a meeting where you anticipate conflict, visualize the emotions that may arise: frustration, anger, impatience. Then, mentally rehearse how you will restrain yourself, choosing calmness over reaction. This preparation arms you with the emotional resilience needed to exercise self-restraint when the moment comes. The power of self-restraint lies in its ability to preserve relationships, opportunities, and dignity. Consider a heated argument. One impulsive word, one unchecked reaction can escalate it beyond repair. But self-restraint allows you to pause, to think, and to respond in a way that de-escalates rather than inflames. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Kindness is invisible if it's sincere, not fawning or pretense." What can even the most malicious person do if you keep showing kindness, and if the opportunity arises, you gently point out where they went wrong, right as they are trying to harm you? Self-restraint, coupled with kindness, disarms even the harshest adversaries. With practice, self-restraint becomes second nature. It is not suppression but control, a measured, intentional approach to life. The more you practice it, the stronger and freer you become, no longer enslaved by fleeting impulses but guided by enduring principles. Habit 8. Maintaining a clear sense of purpose. The 8th habit is maintaining a clear sense of purpose, a guiding star that anchors you in times of emotional turbulence. Without a sense of purpose, it is easy to be swept away by the tides of momentary emotions or distractions. Purpose gives your life direction, clarity, and resilience. The Stoics were deeply purpose-driven. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of his duty. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain of, if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do?" This unwavering focus on his purpose helped him rise above personal discomfort and emotional whims. To cultivate this habit, first identify your core purpose. This might be tied to your career, relationships, or personal development. Ask yourself, what do I want my life to stand for? What values guide me? Write down your purpose and revisit it often, especially during moments of emotional upheaval. Once your purpose is clear, align your actions with it. For example, if your purpose is to build a strong, loving family, remind yourself of this during arguments. Instead of reacting emotionally, think, how can I act in a way that strengthens my family rather than harms it? This shift in perspective helps you prioritize long-term goals over short-term emotions. Purpose also provides a buffer against external criticism or negativity. When you are grounded in your purpose, the opinions of others lose their power to destabilize you. Seneca wrote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view." It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. Purpose ensures that your efforts are not wasted on distractions or fleeting desires, but are directed toward meaningful pursuits. Maintaining a clear sense of purpose also involves regular reflection. Set aside time each day to assess whether your actions are aligned with your purpose. If you find yourself veering off course, gently correct your path. Over time, this practice builds a life of consistency and integrity, where your actions are guided not by fleeting emotions, but by enduring values. In moments of difficulty, purpose acts as a compass, pointing you toward the person you aspire to be. It grounds you, strengthens you, and ensures that your reactions are not dictated by the chaos of the moment, but by the clarity of your vision. Habit 9. Embracing the power of silence. The ninth habit is embracing the power of silence, not just the absence of sound, but the intentional practice of quieting your mind and holding your tongue. In a world filled with noise, external and internal, silence is a rare and powerful tool. It allows you to listen, reflect, and respond with wisdom rather than impulsivity. The Stoics valued silence as a pathway to understanding. Epictetus advised, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Silence creates the space to hear not only the words of others, but also the whispers of your own mind. It is in silence that clarity emerges. To cultivate this habit, begin by practicing external silence. Resist the urge to fill every moment with words. When faced with conflict or provocation, choose silence over retaliation. Instead of arguing or defending yourself immediately, pause. Let the other person's words settle, and give yourself time to reflect before responding. This restraint not only prevents unnecessary escalation, but also allows you to craft a more thoughtful and effective reply. Internal silence is equally important. The mind, left unchecked, can become a cacophony of doubts, fears, and judgments. To quiet this noise, practice mindfulness or meditation. Spend a few minutes each day sitting in stillness, focusing on your breath or a simple mantra. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to retreat into his inner citadel, a place of calm within, untouched by external chaos. Through this practice, you cultivate a mental sanctuary that you can return to whenever life becomes overwhelming. Silence is not passive. It is a powerful form of action. In silence, you observe more keenly, understand more deeply, and respond more wisely. Consider a leader in a moment of crisis. The one who speaks rashly often loses the trust of their team, while the one who listens and reflects commands respect. Silence, when used intentionally, is a mark of strength, not weakness. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Silence is one of the greatest teachers. It teaches you patience, humility, and the art of listening. It reminds you that not every battle requires a response, and not every word spoken carries weight. By embracing silence, you create the space for wisdom to grow and guide your actions. Through the power of silence, you can navigate life with grace and composure, unshaken by the noise around you. It is a habit that, once mastered, transforms not only how you react, but also how you live. Habit 10. Strengthening the discipline of gratitude. The 10th and final habit is strengthening the discipline of gratitude, a conscious effort to appreciate what you have and find joy even in life's imperfections. Gratitude is not merely an emotion. It is a disciplined practice that reshapes how you perceive the world and consequently how you respond to it. The Stoics revered gratitude as a cornerstone of a wise life. Marcus Aurelius reflected often on the things he was thankful for, writing in Meditations, "Do not dream of possessing what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This simple act of acknowledgement shifts your focus from lack to abundance. To cultivate gratitude, begin each day with a reflection on what you are thankful for. This could be as simple as the air you breathe, the health you enjoy, or the relationships that enrich your life. Write these down if you can. Turning thoughts into words makes them more tangible. By starting your day with gratitude, you set a tone of positivity that influences your reactions throughout the day. Gratitude also helps you reframe challenges. When faced with difficulty, instead of lamenting, ask yourself, "What does this teach me?" Or "What strength can I gain from this?" Even adversity, viewed through the lens of gratitude, becomes a source of growth. Seneca wrote, "A good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness." Cultivating gratitude strengthens this character, reminding you that happiness is not found in perfect circumstances, but in a perfect perspective. Gratitude also tempers emotional reactions. When someone wrongs you, gratitude for your own virtues and the opportunities to grow can override the urge for anger or revenge. It fosters humility and resilience, guiding you to respond wisely rather than react emotionally. To deepen this habit, practice expressing gratitude openly. Thank the people in your life, not only for their extraordinary acts, but also for the small, everyday kindnesses. Gratitude shared creates bonds of trust and understanding, making your relationships stronger and more harmonious. Gratitude does not mean ignoring life's hardships or settling for less than you deserve. Instead, it equips you to face challenges with grace and optimism. It turns your focus away from what you lack and onto what you possess, fostering a sense of sufficiency and peace. As Epictetus noted, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Final thoughts. Living a life of wise reactions. The 10 habits we've explored are more than techniques for reacting wisely. They are a blueprint for living a life of purpose, strength, and serenity. They guide you toward mastering your emotions, aligning your actions with your values, and navigating life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Remember that these habits are not acquired overnight. Like the shaping of a sword, they require time, patience, and consistent effort. The Stoics remind us that virtue is a lifelong pursuit. Seneca observed, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Begin today, no matter how small the step, and trust in the process of growth. Each habit, whether embracing silence, reframing obstacles, or cultivating gratitude, serves as a tool to reclaim your inner power. They remind you that while you cannot control the external world, you have absolute authority over your own mind. Marcus Aurelius encapsulated this wisdom perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. As you integrate these habits into your life, you will notice profound changes. Challenges will no longer feel overwhelming, emotions will no longer dictate your actions, and you will navigate life with a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. You will embody the essence of Stoicism, a life lived in harmony with reason and virtue. To you, wisdom seekers, this journey is not just about reacting wisely, but about becoming the person you aspire to be. It is about transforming moments of adversity into opportunities for growth, turning fleeting emotions into lasting wisdom, and living with courage, integrity, and grace. The philosopher Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Let this be your guiding principle as you practice these habits. The path to wisdom is not a destination, but a way of life, one you walk every day with intention and resolve. Take these 10 habits and make them your own. In doing so, you will not only react wisely, but also inspire those around you to do the same. The ripple effect of your transformation will extend far beyond yourself, creating a world that is calmer, kinder, and wiser. Stay steadfast on this journey, wisdom seekers, and remember, the power to live wisely is already within you. All that remains is to cultivate it.